Bracha, everybody. This week's Parsha is Parshat Behar. It talks about the Shemitah. The Shemitah is the sabbatical year in Israel, the seventh year. They would count one to seven, and the seventh year was the sabbatical year where they would not work in the fields, they couldn't plant, they couldn't plow, nothing. And there's many special things when you think about it, because it's interesting that the Torah says, when it talks about this, it says, you might ask, it says, V'chi tomru, if you say, Ma nochal b'shana shvi'it, what are we going to eat on the seventh year? Hen lo nizra ve'lo nesof et tevuatenu. We're not going to sow, we're not planting, and we're not going to be able to even gather our harvest. Basically, the rule was, as long as there was enough for the animals and poor people to take, you can take. But if there wasn't much left, you can't even take anymore. Basically, the fields were open to everybody in the seventh year. You didn't own it. It was ownerless in the seventh year. So you might ask, what am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? Hashem says, it's in the Torah, V'tziviti et birchati lachem b'shana shishit. I will command my blessing for you in the sixth year before the seventh year. V'asat et hatvua lishlosh hashanim. And in the sixth year, you're going to make enough produce for 3 years, for the sixth year, seventh year, and eighth year. Basically, he's guaranteeing it. He's saying you can use it in the sixth year. You can save it. You're gonna make enough in 1 year for 3 years. If the Torah wasn't coming from God, how would we know this? How could it be? How could Moses guarantee that it's not coming from God? So obviously, this is one of the signs that the Torah is divine. It comes from Hashem. Also, it's interesting that this week's parsha is Behar. Why Behar? The parsha begins, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe. Hashem spoke to Moses, Bahar Sinai Lemor, that in Mount Sinai to say. It's telling us that just like all of the laws of Shemitah, because it starts going into Shemitah, the sabbatical year, are from God, and all the details are from God, so too all of the Torah Shebaal Peh, the oral Torah, comes from God. For instance, Tefillin, the mitzvah of Tefillin. We wouldn't know what tefillin is if not for the oral Torah. When the Torah says tefillin, it says tie them as a sign on your arms and as a reminder between your eyes, and that's it. Doesn't say how they look, doesn't say what to make them out of, doesn't say how to tie them. So we know that the oral Torah was given along with the written Torah. Why didn't we write down the oral Torah? Because we see, look what happened when Christianity took the Torah. Look what happened when Islam took the Torah. You see, it's obvious. Look at Islam. They fast for a month a year. They base that on Yom Kippur. They don't eat pig. They base that on us also. They rest 1 day a week. Friday, they made it instead of Saturday because they don't want to copy it completely. But Muhammad said, I'm going to copy part of it. But it's a new religion because they copied the written Torah. If the oral Torah would have been written, they would have copied that also. And can you imagine how many mistakes they would have made out of that? So God said, don't write the oral Torah. The only reason that the oral Torah started to be written, we have all these books like the Mishnah and the Talmud and the Zohar and all these books, is because in the time of Rabbi Yehuda, the prince, the leader of Israel, he lived during the time of the Romans, and he saw that they're exiling the Jewish people and we're forgetting the Torah. So he said, we need to write it down. We have no choice. So that's why I said, Et lasod laHashem heferu Toratecha. It's a time to do for God, so I'm going to violate the Torah. You're violating the Torah to protect the Torah, so to speak. So this is the idea of Shemitah, and showing us that the Shemitah is really divine from God. And it's interesting that even scientifically, they know now that when you leave the ground fallow for 1 year, it's very good actually for the land. If you keep on working the land, it's not good for the land. The land also needs a rest. Just like we need a break, and it's not good for us to work all the time. We need Shabbat 1 day a week. So too, it's good for the land to have a break. So Be'ezrat Hashem, in the merit of us learning these things, may God give us a break from our enemies, and may they wake up and know the truth, and may we be blessed. Shabbat Shalom Umevorach.